to it. In this interim lockdown, because of COVID-19, we have given us a way to explore and learn new things with the help of technology. Today's webinar and upcoming course on the topic Programming with Python will be hosted by our guest of honor, Mr. Ritvik Mehta. He is an assistant professor at Parul University. Apart from this, he is also has more than 7 years of experience in Python, ML, NDL, IoT, and security. This course will consist of many dimensions, dealing with project work, hands-on labs, and expert session by Ali Mustafa, who is an innovator at Intel and leading trainer of cloud and machine learning. After completion of this course, you will receive a certificate of completion with Comscolar and Parul University. So, as the elder has suggested, why to have delay in auspicious work? Let's start this journey with Comscolar. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Nikita, thank you so much for giving this introduction. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Ritvik Mehta. I'm working as an assistant professor in Parul University. I'm serving Parul University since last 7 years, right? And I'm teaching various subjects at UG level as well as at PG level, right? And my area of interest are Python programming, data science, machine learning, and IoT. So if you are new to Comscolar community, right, this is our very first session, for getting started with Python, right? I've already delivered one session which is related to IoT. Today we are starting a series, right? And this will be a near about 10 days long series where different experts will be coming on day-to-day basis, and they will be teaching you about Python, right? And hope you will gain good knowledge out of it, right? And hope you will be able to implement few of the small and mid-level projects after completing this bootcamp. So today our journey starts with the very basic lecture, right? So I'll be teaching what is Python, right? How it came into the picture, right? Why it is so famous. Then we'll be moving to some of the basic concepts like how to get inputs, how to produce, or how to print something on the screen, right? And we'll be seeing different basic level data structures, right? Today our focus will be on basic data structures only, right? So we won't be focusing on what you can say advanced level data structures, right? So this is the case, right? And say for example, if you want to get familiar with Python, this is the very first step and a very small step to start with, right? Python is very huge, so don't take it that this within this 10 days we'll be completing all the contents in the Python, right? It's not like that. You can discover more about Python after completing this bootcamp, right? We'll be running one more series that will be focusing on more advanced concepts in Python, right? But this particular 10 days bootcamp is on basic Python, right? And we'll be trying to cover as much as content possible within these 10 days so that you should have basic fundamental knowledge of Python programming, right? So let us start our journey, right? And the first and the very basic question you might have in your mind that why Python, why people are moving to Python, right? So I would rather suggest that Python is very kind of a programmer-friendly language, right? Where everything comes in a sweet package, right? Sweet library form where you import the library or you include your library in the program, and then just use the functions within the library, and your task is done, right? So many libraries are available for Python, right? And you can use those libraries for different purposes, right? I'll be covering that what kind of libraries are available and what are their purposes, and then we'll be starting with basic programming, right? But those who are new to Python and those who are attending this Python series lecture first time, or those who don't know anything about Python, from where we have to start and what we'll be doing. So the first thing I would like to discuss is when I say Python, right? If you are able to speak Python, you are known as Pythonista, right? So what we want to achieve after this 10 days, so we all should be a basic level Pythonista, right? So if you can speak Python, that is good. And there are different ways to communicate with Python. So I'll be going through few of the demonstrations today that how you can communicate with Python, right? But the first thing and the very basic thing you need to do is you need to install Python in your machine, right? So how you can do that? How you can install Python in your machine, right? So what you have to do is, if you are using a Windows-based system, just open this particular website called as python.org. I'm sharing my screen, and if you will be, if you are able to see the screen, right? You can just go through it. Uh, the website is python.org. Make it very clear, right? This is the website. Now, what you have to do over here is you have to go to download tabs, right? Uh, Choose your operating system, whether you are using a Windows-based system or Mac OS. Even if it is Linux, you can work with it. But most of the user will be, they'll be using Windows-based system, right? Now, again, there are certain restrictions in Windows-based systems. Say, for example, if you are having Windows 8 or Windows 10, all of the Python versions will be supported. But say, for example, if you are using Windows XP or Windows 7, many of the latest Python versions are not supported, right? So actually, there are two different flavors or two different versions of Python are familiar nowadays, right? That is Python 2.x. Still, some of the developers use this Python 2.x version because many of the softwares or many of the executables are developed in Python 2.x. But the latest series is Python 3.x, and the current version is Python 3.8.2, right? So if you are new to Python, right, and if you're just starting it, yeah, you can install the latest version with all the updates, right? Some of the libraries are there in Python which doesn't support latest version, or which doesn't have a compatibility mode with the latest version, right? So in that case, you have to install either Python 3.6 or Python 3.5, right? But it depends on the library installation, right? So what you have to do is you just have to click on this Python 3.8.2 and one exe will be downloaded for you. And that is the easiest way to install Python in Windows, right? So once the exe will be downloaded, you can run or you can double click on that exe file, right? Setup will start, and once you start the setup, it will be asking for the path where you want to install the Python, right? So if you are if you don't want to save your Python, or you don't want to keep your Python in a very specific location, right, just click on the next. But if you want to change the folder, right, you can do it from there. Setup utilities, you can change the path of the installation, right? One more thing you need to take care about installing Python is, once you install Python, there will be option that add exe to path. This option will be disabled by default, so you have to click on that option and you have to enable it. I'm going through this steps very quickly because I have to start with Python today, right? And within 10 days we have to complete basic Python, so I'm not going into the installation in detail, right? But I'm telling you the step. Please don't forget to click on this particular option, that is add exe to path. If you don't do that, what is going to happen? You can access the Python from terminal from the same folder where it is installed. But if you set exe to path, you can access Python from any of the location of your computer, right? So if you accidentally forget it, no issue. We can do it manually as well, right? So how you can do it manually? If you forget to click that option add exe to path, how you can do it manually? So what you have to do is you have to right click on the my computer, and then you can click on the option called as and properties, advanced system settings. In advanced system settings, you can go to properties and environment variables, and in environment variable there will be a variable called as path. Now, what you have to do, you have already set a location for Python installation, right? So you have to go there. You have to look for Python exe, right? There will be a Python application file. Select path up to that particular location and just paste that path in environment variable path variable value, right? So you have to copy paste that path in a variable, environment variable called as path. Now, once you copy paste, you need to take care about two things. There will be certain paths already available in the path variable based depending on the installation, earlier installation you have done of different softwares, right? So what you can do is you can separate different paths by a semicolon. So if there are certain paths already available in your path variable, don't delete those paths, otherwise your different softwares won't be working, right? So put a semicolon, paste your path, and again put a semicolon to terminate, right? Once you put a semicolon, you just click on okay, and the path will be there, right? So once you do this procedure, your Python AXE is available from anywhere, right? You can access Python from anywhere, right? So once you have this particular thing done, once installation is done, you can directly start with the Python, right? So let us do it. I'll be teaching you different ways so that you can communicate with Python, right? So let me again stop my screen, right? What we'll be doing is, first we'll be starting with a command prompt option, how you can use Python with a command prompt, right? Once we are done with it, when you are done with the command prompt option, right, we can move a basic IDE. Now, some of you are beginners, beginner level programmers, so you might not be knowing what is IDE, right? So IDE is nothing but it provides certain programming related features which makes your programming life very easy, right? So say for example, those who are familiar with programming, they might be knowing certain IDEs in Java, right? They might be using NetBeans, or they might be using Eclipse, right? So there are certain IDEs available in Python also, right? And you can work with that. But once you install Python, Python comes with a basic IDE that is known as IDLE, right? So what you can do is you can press your Windows button and you can just look for IDLE, right click on that, and you can run your Python file, right? But we are not going to start with it. We are going to start with the command prompt, right? And I'm going to show you that how it is going, how you can work with Python. So those who are working live, I hope they have installed Python by this time. If you have not installed, this video is available on YouTube, so you can go through it later on, right? I'm just starting with basic Python right now. So what you can do is, I'm sharing my screen again, right? I'm having a trouble with sharing screen. Just a second, I'll be back. Okay, let me share my screen again one more time. Hope it works this time. Yeah. So now it is working. I've shared my screen, and you can see that. So I have shared my screen, and now you can see my screen possibly, right? So let me start with a few of the basic level things which we can do with Python, right? So what I'm doing is I'm pressing my Windows button and I'm just typing CMD, right? So once you type CMD, what is going to happen? Your command prompt will be loaded, right? And what you have to do is you just have to right click on it. If you don't right click on it, that is also fine. But why I'm right clicking on it? Because I want to run Python as an administration mode. So if I want to install any library, or if I want to do some admin level stuff with the operating system, I can do it with this administration mode, right? So I'll just click on this administration mode, right? And it will ask you whether you want to open this app with admin mode or not. So I'll click on yes, right? And this is my command prompt, if you can see it, right? So what we are going to do with this command prompt is we are going to check whether Python is installed properly or not, right? So what I can do is I'll type Python and then I'll say hyphen hyphen version. So once I do it, I'll be getting which version of Python I'm using, right? So if you press enter, say for example, in my case, I'm getting Python 3.6.4 because I've installed Python earlier, right? But if you install Python today and if you type this command, you might be getting Python 3.8.x, right? Any of the version of Python 3.8 series. Now you can install different versions of Python. You can click on the download options, right? And you can select any of the exe which is available on the website python.org, right? Once you are done with this, if you get this particular thing, a version of the Python, that is fine, your path variable is set properly, right? But if you get this error that Python is not recognized as internal or external command, that means your path is not set properly. So again, you have to set path in the environment variable, path variable, right? You have to come up with the path of Python application file where you have installed your Python, right? So once you do this, if you get this particular thing as an output, right, what you can do next, you can type another command that is Python only, right? Once you type Python and if you press enter, you will be getting a prompt like this, right? So this is the very basic prompt with which you can communicate to Python, right? And this is how communication happened to Python. Once you get these three arrows, that means Python is willing to accept your question, right? Python is asking certain things to you. Say for example, Python is asking what is next, what next you want to do with Python, right? So if you get this prompt, if you get a prompt like this, Python is ready to interact with you, right? So understand this, what we need to do with this. So say for example, you are a baby, right? You are a kid, and if you want to learn a new thing, new concept, new language, what you have to do is you have to understand its grammar, you have to understand its vocab, right? And then you can you can frame the statements, and then you can speak with someone, right? So Python is having a same pattern, right? Once you want to communicate with Python, you need to understand its vocab, you need to understand the sentence structure or grammar, right? How grammar can be formed in Python, right? And if you are comfortable with vocab and the sentence structure, you can write paragraphs and you can communicate with Python, right? So understand this prompt, right? If I press enter over here, it is again asking me what is next, right? So if you guide this prompt, three arrow prompt, Python is always asking us what is next. So if you do programming like this, this is known as interactive mode in Python. Why it is interactive? So if you can see that if I am speaking correct Python language, if I am telling Python that this is the correct way to use Python language and this is my question, Python is also replying. So if you can see, if I have asked what next, Python is replying with the answer what is next, right? So if you can speak correct Python, Python will immediately reply. Say for example, if I say hello to Python, Python will immediately reply me hello, right? So now if you can see, Python is understanding your language, right? You are able to communicate with Python, right? And if you are good at it, you will become Pythonist, right? So this is known as interactive mode because Python is immediately replying to you, right? And one of the way to work with Python is this interactive mode. So if you want to run a small code, right? If you want to test a small portion of the code or single line code, you can run it in the interactive mode, right? So one of the way I can work with it is I can start with interactive mode. Later on, there will be other modes of programming, and most of the programmer use these other modes also, right? So today is very beginning level lecture. So we'll be discussing about this interactive mode more. We'll be working on this interactive mode more, right? On later on sessions, we'll be moving to the script mode, right? The another way of programming, right? That is known as script mode. Okay, so how to work with it? How to communicate with Python, right? So say for example, I have said hello to Python and Python is replying hello. Again, I'm telling hello to Python, but now if you can see, Python is not replying with hello, right? So you can imagine that Python is not like human beings, right? Why it is not like human beings? Because say for example, as human being, if some babies are speaking some garbage language, some blah blah blah, right? They are not able to speak our language properly, we will laugh at them, right? We will understand that they are babies and they are so cute, right? But Python is very cruel, right? Python doesn't understand this feelings, right? So Python directly says that it is an error, right? And to be very precise, it always says with a type of error, right? So it might be a syntax error. Say for example, here it is saying that name error. So it says that name hello is not known to me. It is not defined. That means it is not known to me. You are speaking some garbage to me. You are speaking some blah 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 to me, which I cannot understand, right? So understand this, when you speak, when you get this kind of prompt like traceback and some error name, right? It's an error. That means it is a mistake. You are not using either a vocab properly, or you have not framed your sentence properly, right? So any kind of error you might receive, right? You can tackle this kind of errors, and this will be covered later on in the different sessions, right? How you can tackle those kind of errors, right? But for the first time, if you get this kind of thing, traceback and name error, understand this. This is a way that Python tells you that I cannot understand whatever you are speaking, right? So we have to learn Python ways, right? We have to learn the way which Python understand, right? And then we can communicate with Python. So say for example, again, I want to communicate hi or hello. Understand this, I can include this hello within quotes, right? So I'll say quotes, within quotes, I'll say hello. Now, this is known as string in Python, right? So Python understand this particular string structure in the quotes only, right? So when you type hello and if you press enter, Python again says hello, right? Now, if you see the reply of Python, Python gives you reply in single quotes. I've written it in double quotes. Python gives you reply in single quotes. So what is the difference? So these are different ways to represent a string in Python, right? So say for example, I can use single quotes also, and I can say Comscolar, right? And I can add the single quote, right? So either you use double quotes or either you use single quotes. They can be used interchangeably, right? Now you will be saying, sir, why we should have these two options, right? Why we both the syntax are allowed? So say for example, I want to do it something like this. Hello, this is my friend's car, right? So now if you can see that when I want to say this is my friend's car, there is an apostrophe s into it. And when you want to include apostrophe s into the programming, you have to again use the quotes, right? So now I'll be terminating this statement with one more code. And if I press enter, you can see Python is again cruel to us, and Python is saying you are having a syntax error, right? So what we can do with this, how we can overcome this problem? So here I can start with double quotes, then I can say hello, right? And then I can say, let us say exclamation mark, and then I can type this is my friends friend's car. And then again, I'll be terminating this statement with a double quote. So now if you can see that I've used a single quote like apostrophe s between double quotes, right? So now Python will understand the syntax as, okay, fine, I know the syntax. You want to represent apostrophe, right? So Python will reply, yes, hello, this is my friend's car, right? So understand that you have to speak a proper Python language. If you don't speak a proper Python language, Python is very cruel, right? It is very strict, and it will always tell you that it is a syntax error, right? So be specific with your statements, be specific with your vocab, right? Once you are communicating with Python, right? Now, this is one way to communicate with Python. There can be other ways also, right? So we are talking about, very basic stuff, right? Whatever is available with our operating system, we are not installing anything else, right? So command prompt is available with your Windows-based operating system, and you can run your Python like this, right? Now, say for example, I don't want to work on Python now in command prompt. So I want to come out from the Python prompt, because when I press enter, every time I'll be getting this 3-arrow prompts. So how I can come out from this 3-arrow prompt, right? So for that, there is a command called as exit. Are you getting it? So once you say exit and opening bracket, closing bracket, and if you press enter, you will be back to the command prompt, right? You can run your simple commands, command prompt commands with this, right? This is one way to communicate with Python. Say for example, I don't like this way. I don't like black screen and this fonts, right? Or I want to write a bigger program, right? I don't want to work with a single line program, or I don't want to work with an interactive mode, right? So there is another way to work with Python is you can work with a script mode, right? What is a script? So you can imagine a script as story, right? We write story, a longer story, right? So if you combine statements, it will become a story, right? It will become a paragraph, and if you combine paragraph, it will become a story. So same thing we are doing over here, right? We'll be working with blocks in Python, programming blocks in Python, right? So if you combine vocab, it will become statements. If you combine statement, it will become blocks, programming blocks. And if you combine programming blocks, it will become a script, right? So script is nothing but it is like a story with which you can write larger programs. You can do multiple tasks at a time, right? So let us start that how you can work with a script. Say for example, we don't have any IDE, we don't have any software, we want to work with basic features which are available in Windows, right? So what you can do, you can use a software called as Notepad, or very simple thing, Notepad, right? So all of you might have used Notepad for different purpose, right? You can write HTML code, you can write Java code, or even you might have used for your C programming as well, right? So let us start with a Notepad, how you can work with Python and Notepad, right? So again, you can type hello over here, right? So very simple, I'm typing hello, right? And then I'm saving this file. So how to save this file? So let us say I'm giving this file name as sample, right? And I'm storing this file at desktop, and I'm creating this new folder called as Comscolar. Okay, so I'm navigating to this particular software called as Comscolar, folder called as Comscolar. I'm giving my file name as sample. Now, one more thing you need to take care about saving this file is selecting this save as type option, right? Don't forget to click on all files. Don't make it txt, right? You have to click over here and you have to select all files, right? And then you have to say sample.py. So py is extension of Python file. Like say for example, I want to create HTML file. The extension can be .htm or .html. If I want to create a C file, the extension can be .c. A C++ file extension can be .cpp, right? Or Java file extension can be .java. XML file extension can be .xml or ppt, .pptx, .docx. So similar to that, if you want to create a Python file, extension is .py, right? So see this, I have saved this file in desktop, and on my desktop I have a folder called as Comscolar, and I'm saving this sample.py file in Comscolar folder. So click on the save. Very simple, right? Now if you can see this, there is a file called as sample.py file in the title bar, right? I'm closing this file, right? I'm moving back to my desktop. Let us move to my desktop. So this is my desktop. I have to look for a folder called as Comscolar. So this is my folder called as Comscolar, and there is a file called as sample.py in it, right? So let us come back to the command prompt again, right? Hope my screen is visible to everyone. Neil, can you confirm whether my screen is visible for every operation I'm doing? Neil? Okay, fine. Let us continue with it, right? How we can work with this. Let us move back to the command prompt, right? Now, what you have to do is you have to navigate to the folder where your file is stored, right? So my file is stored on desktop, and there is a folder called as Comscolar. So how you can navigate to it? So there is a command called as cd dot dot. I want to move to my desktop, right? So which is in C drive. So I'm saying cd dot dot, and then I'm pressing enter, right? Then I have to move to my desktop as well. So how I can move to my desktop? So it is in a folder called as users, right? So cd users, then cd, this is my name, right? So I'll be moving to this particular user, that is Rutvik Mehta. Then again, I'm giving a command called as cd desktop, right? So this is my desktop. In desktop, I'm looking for a folder called as Comscolar. So I'll say com, and there is a folder called as Comscolar, right? So if you move to this folder, you have to check whether your file is present or not. So you can type a command called as dir, dir, right? So what you can do with this dir command, you can press enter, right? You can see a file called as sample.py file, right? And we want to run this sample.py file. So what I'll be doing is I'll be typing a command Python space sample dot py. Okay, so once you do this, when you type this Python space sample dot py, and if you press enter, okay, fine, the command is running, right? But we didn't get any output. So file is running, program is running, but we are not getting any output. So there is a reason behind it why we are not getting output. So first, let us verify that how we can check that whether my file is running or not. So again, I'm opening it with Notepad. So you can select open with, choose another app, right? More options. You can look for Notepad. Okay, I have Notepad++, so let me move it to the Notepad++, right? So I'm moving it to the Notepad++, right? And yeah, this is my file sample.py, right? So let us say I'm deleting one of the quotes over here and I'm saving my file again, right? And let us rerun the command, right? Python space sample.py, right? Now, if you can see, it is again prompting me an error that you have a syntax error. So that is end of line while scanning string literal. So that means we are missing a quote, double quotes, right? So again, I can put that double quotes back. I can save the file. I can rerun it. But again, there is no response, right? So if you can see this, when I writing a correct syntax into the quotes, hello, the code is running. It is not giving me any error, right? The program is running, but still we are not getting output. Why? Because we are working on a script mode, right? This is known as a small script. And when you are working on a script mode and you want to generate something on the console output. Yes, Neil. Just a second. Okay, hope you are able to see the screen now, right? So when we are moving back to this particular thing, command prompt, right? And if I type this command, right, sample.py, right, I'm not getting any output, right? Let us try it one more time. Python space sample.py, right? So when I type this command, you are not getting any output, and there is a reason behind it, right? So when you are working with a script mode, you always have to say print function. You have to you always have to use print function, right? And within the quotes, you can specify this particular syntax, that is into the quotes hello, right? So let me save this code. Let me rerun our program, that is Python space sample.py. If you press enter, now we are getting the output, that is hello, right? So understand this structure, right? When we are working with script mode, you have to use print function to print something on the console screen, right? To generate the output. Understand this. So this is this is the basic difference between script mode and interactive mode, right? Now, what are the other ways, right, where you can run your Python, and then we'll be moving to the interactive mode today, right? So another way to work with Python is this. You can use this particular IDE called as IDLE. So from where I have opened it, I have pinned it to my taskbar, but you can press your Windows button and you can type IDLE, right? You will get this, right? When you click on the enter, the screen will open, right? So again, if you can see, there is a 3-arrow prompt, right? And this 3-arrow prompt is known as, again, Python prompt, which is asking you what next, right? Now, what you can do with this is your interactive mode, same as command prompt. So this is another way to work with it. Otherwise, if you want to work with a script mode and IDLE, you can go to file menu and you can click on new file. So if you can see that a blank screen is opening, I can write my command, that is, let us say print hello. Again, same thing, right? Print hello. Okay, and then let me terminate this, and then you can click on run mode menu and click on run module, right? I'll be giving you the shortcuts as well, right, how you can do that. So I have to click on OK, right? Once I click on OK, I cannot store it in Python 36 right now. I cannot store it in C drive directly with program files because I don't have administrator rights with this ideally software, right? So I'm moving to any other software. Like, let us move to desktop again. Let us store it in Comscolar folder. And let me give you another file, let us say example, right? Let me save this file. Now you don't have to worry about anything else over here because by default extension of this file will be .py file. So you can click on the save button. Very simple. Your file is saved. And if you can see, you are getting output on the prompt that is hello, right? So this is how you can start your first very basic program printing hello on the screen, right? There are two different versions of this, right? First one is interactive mode. The prompt which you are getting right now, it is interactive mode, and this is known as script mode, where you can write your larger codes as well, right? So let me show you one of my code, right, which I have written, right, and you will be understand what is script, right? So let me move to OS users, right, and I'm looking for a .py file. So let me just delete it. Okay, let me click on mono, say for example, right? So this is a larger version of the code, right, which is code for monoalphabetic cipher in information security, right? And if you can see, I have written a larger code. This is known as script. So if you can see it, it contains so many things in it, right? It contains statements, it contains programming blocks, and then if you combine them, it becomes a script or a program, right? So this is one example of a script or a program, but we are not worried about this script or a program right now, right? We'll be starting with very basic thing, interactive mode today, right? So let us move back to the interactive mode, right? Let us close this all the files, right? And this is known as interactive mode. Now there are other softwares available in the market which you can use with Python, right? So say for example, I don't want to use this ideally. I don't like this theme. I don't like this options which it has, right? So you can use another software called as PyCharm, right? That is another IDE which is available with Python, and you can start working with PyCharm. Say for example, you will be arguing that, sir, I don't want to use anything, right? I don't want to use any IDE. I'm very much comfortable with text editors, right? You can use any of the text editor like Notepad or Notepad++. If you want to use more advanced text editors, you can move it to Sublime, or you can move it to Atom also. I personally use Atom, right? So you can use Atom as well, right? And then you can communicate with Python, right? So what we'll be doing next, we'll be working with this ideally only, right? In later on session, I'll show you that how you can work with Atom also, or how you can work with other text editors also, right? So you can either use this command prompt mode, Notepad mode, or you can use this IDE, or you can use PyCharm, or you can use Atom or Sublime. Any of the thing, any of the software or any of the text editor you like, you can use it. There is another package, a great package which you can use with Python is Anaconda package, right? So Anaconda comes with a basic interactive mode as well as script mode, and the file which you have in Anaconda is called as IPYNB file. It has a very specific framework within it, which is known as Jupyter Notebook, right? And Jupyter Notebook stores your file called as IPYNB. Then you can run script mode as well as interactive mode with Anaconda as well, right? So people, those who are working in MLDL field, machine learning and deep learning field, or those who are working with data science, or those who are working with natural language processing, they usually prefer Anaconda because it comes with a very basic setup which is required in machine learning, deep learning, or this data science field, right? So many of the libraries are by default installed in Anaconda, so you don't have to worry about them, right? So you can work with any of the softwares, any of the frameworks, or any of the text editor you like, right? You can start with it, right? I'll be giving you list later on in the sessions, right? But today our goal is, let us try to speak some more language, right? Let us try to interact with Python in detail, right? So one of the thing which we have already done is we can print something on the screen, right? So I've already said hello. So let me start with another thing, that is hello world, right? So you can enclose your string into double quotes and the hello world will be printed on the screen. I can start with single quotes also, and you can say hello world, right? And if you press enter, again it is giving you the output hello world, right? Say for example, I want to interchangeably use it, right? So one of the example, right? I have already given you. This is my cousin's toy, right? So understand this double quotes, and within double quotes we have this particular single quotes apostrophe hash. You can use it. Or say for example, I want to start with single quotes, and say for example, I want to say, I want to focus or emphasize on this word, right? Right. Mail, can you hear me? Mail. Yeah. So say for example, I want to type this, I want to focus on this word, right? So if you can see this in single quotes, I have included double quotes. So if you want to emphasize on a particular word in a string, you can do it with this, right? Now, if you have started with single quotes and if you end it with double quotes, it's an error, right? So when I press enter, right, it is giving me syntax errors. So again, what I have to do is I have to end it with single quote, right? So I want to focus on this word. Let me press enter, right? And it is giving me the output, right? So hope this is clear to you. Neil, I'm getting interruption in between. Some noise is there. Neil? Yeah. So this is how you can work with this, right? And let us say I don't want to restrict myself to single line, right? So I want to enter two lines or three lines. So let me start with a double quote. As we know, we can use them interchangeably, right? So I'm starting with a double quote. I'm writing something, anything, right? And I'm pressing enter. Now, immediately when I press enter, it is giving me an error. So that means I cannot write multiple lines in Python. Is it true? No, it's not true, right? So what we'll be doing is when you want to write multiple lines in Python, what you can do is you can start with 3 times double quotes or 3 times single quotes. Now, if you start with double quotes, you have to end it with 3 times double quotes. If you start with single quotes, you have to end it with 3 times single quotes. So now understand this. I'm writing is this is line 1 and I'm pressing enter. Now it is not giving me an error like above case, right? It is absolutely working fine. And I can write this is line 2, right? So even if you press enter, this is absolutely fine. You can press as many enter as you want. You can include as many lines as you want. But remember this, I have started with 3 times double quotes. So I have to end it with 3 times double quotes, right? If you end it with single time double quotes, again, it will be an error, right? So when I press enter, if you can see, it is giving me this line. This is line 1 /n, which is a new line character. You might be aware about it in C, right? And this is line 2 again /n because I have pressed enter, right? So this is how you can work with multiple lines in Python, right? So this is very basic how you can communicate with Python. And if you have seen already, if I'm speaking some garbage, if I'm not using my programming structure properly, Python is very cruel to me and it is giving me that it is a syntax error, right? So now let us say this is very basic of Python and you can work with it. But let us say I want to declare some variables like C programming, right? How I can declare variables or how I can store values in memory, right? So say for example, I want to store a number in the variable, right? So let us say I want to store 1, 2, 3, 4 in a variable, or I want to give a name to that value 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So how you can do that in C? You already know that I can type int and then you can say num and then is equal to some value, right? And this is how you declare variables in C. But this is something different. There is something different in Python. You can say a is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So a is my variable name and 1, 2, 3, 4 is my integer value, right? So when I press enter, you can directly say that it is working absolutely fine. It is not giving me an error. So now there is a surprise over here. What about data types? What is the data type of a? Why we have not specified integer a, right? So understand this. Python allocates data type to a variable based on its value, right? So it allocates data type to a variable when you are assigning value to it at the runtime, right? So this philosophy is known as duck typing philosophy. What is this duck typing philosophy? It is a new word in the programming, right? How it works. So say for example, duck typing philosophy works like this. Let us assume there is a bird in the pond, right? Now I'm giving you some of the characteristics of that bird. Say for example, I'm giving you that that bird can swim. Now that is one characteristic, that is fine. That bird can swim. It can be any bird which can swim, right? But I'm giving you another specification in duck typing, that that bird can produce a sound like quack quack. Now, it's very much clear to me which bird can produce a sound like quack quack. It's very simple. A duck can produce a sound like quack quack. So based on the characteristic which I have given to you, like a bird which is swimming in the pond and it is producing a sound like quack quack, you came to know based on the characteristic that that bird is a duck, right? So understand this. Here also, when we are saying a is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, which is an integer number, there are certain characteristics of integer number, right? So based on the value assigned to variable, type of the variable will be decided. Now, what will be the next question? You will be asking me that, sir, you are saying that it is integer. How we can assure that, right? How we can trust you, right? You don't have to trust me just like that. I'll prove that it is integer, right? And there is a way to do so in Python, right? So how you can do that? So I can set type. So this is inbuilt function in Python with which you can check the type of the variable. So type into the bracket a. What is a? A is our variable name, right? So when I say type into the bracket a and when I press enter, you can say it is saying me class integer. So class int means class integer. Now what is this class? So understand one thing, and this will be applicable throughout your lecture series. Everything in Python is represented as an object. So everything in Python is an object, right? And once you are talking about object has a class. So this is something related to object-oriented programming, and you will be studying it in detail later on in this lecture series, right? But understand this, I'm making it very clear to you that everything in class is an object, right? So A is also an object of class integer, right? We are not going into the philosophy of object-oriented programming and class and objects right now, right? But understand this, say for example, I'm creating another variable, let us say num1. Now, instead of using this 1, 2, 3, 4, I am saying that's 12.34. Now, what is this 12.34, right? So you very well know that it is a float variable, right? So let me check this whether it is float or not. So how I can check that? Type into the bracket num1. Now you can say it is a float variable. That is great. Now let us say I want to say str1, which is I'm saying string1, right? And let me say hi. Now this is string. Again, you can check what is the type of this variable str1. So again, you can check that it is string1. So say for example, I can declare any type of the data in Python. If you want to check that what type of the data it is or what kind of variable it is, you can check it with the type function. Now let us say somehow my mind changes, right? I want to say num1 is equal to hello, right? So what is going to happen? What will be the type of num1 now? Because already we have declared num1 is equal to 12.34 and at that time type was float. Now we are changing num1 to hello, right? What will be the type of it? So what we'll be doing over here is we'll be again checking the type, right? Type num1, right? And it will be giving you string, right? Why string? Because we have changed or we have assigned a new value to num1 and which is a string value. So as I told you, at the runtime, Python decide that what should be the characteristic, what is the characteristic of the value assigned to this variable num1, and based on the characteristics of the value, type of the variable will be decided, right? So hope this is very much clear to you how duck typing philosophy works, right? Now let us say, let us go through some different data types, basic data types available in Python, and then we'll be directly moving to taking input and producing output in Python, right? So let us take another data type. Let me say num2, right? Now here I am specifying a different kind of data, right? I'm saying 3 plus 2j, right? Now you can assume any wild guesses over here that what can be the data type of num2, right? So understand this, num2 is complex data type or a complex number. So I can check type num2, right? And if you can see, it is saying class complex. So it is a complex number. Now, if you remember complex number, if you have gone through your 10th, 9th, 10th mathematics very well, complex number contains two parts. First part is known as real part, and second part is known as imaginary part. Here, if you can see that 3 plus 2j, here 3 is a real part, and in maths we used to represent imaginary part with I, that is 2I, say for example. But here we are not using I, we are using a specific character, that is j. So 2j represents imaginary part in complex number. Now you will be arguing that, sir, is it mandatory to use j only? So we can check that. Num2, again it is, let us say 3 plus 2i, right? Now when I press enter, it is giving me, it is in syntax error, right? 2i is not defined. So understand that when you want to represent complex number, it should be always j, right? Now another question can be, sir, can I remove imaginary part, as it is allowed in maths also? So can I say num3 is equal to, let us say 4j? Yes, you can absolutely do that, right? And again, if you can check the type of num3, it is obviously complex numbers, right? So you can have integer numbers, you can have float numbers, you can have complex numbers, you can have strings. Let us take one more, right? Let us say ABC is equal to B, or let us say 0B, right? And 0011. It's working, it's absolutely fine. And then if I print ABC, I can get the value of this variable, right? So say for example, if I print num3 over here, what is the value of num3? It is 4j. So it is giving me output 4j. But when I say ABC, if you can check the output, it is giving me answer equals to 3. Now understand that what is this 3? How it has been produced, right? So if I check the syntax 0b0011, it says that it is a binary number, and 0011 represent a decimal number equals to 3, right? So how you can create a binary number? So you have to start with a prefix called as 0b, right? Now say for example, I want to create an octal number, right? So you have to start with a prefix called as 0o. Now what kind of different characters or what kind of different numbers you can have in octal? So it can start with 0 and you can move up to 7 only, right? So if I say 0, 1, 2, 3, and if I type oct1, that is absolutely fine for me. But if I say oct2, and if I say 0o, and if I say 1 to 9, this is an error. Why? Because octal number can accept values up to 7 only. So similar to that, if you try 0b and 02, 2 is not allowed because binary can accept only 0 and 1. So it should be very much clear to you, right? Similar to that, if I want to have hexadecimal, I can use 0x, right? So 0x represents hexadecimal, right? So I can say hex 1 is equal to 0x. And let me say ABC, right? And if I say hex 1, it's a decimal representation of ABC, which is 2748. So I hope this is clear to you, right? I hope you have understood what the basic data types are there in Python and how you can check the basic data types. So there is a function called as type. Make sure that you use type function very frequently to check the data type, because based on the data type, you will be having different operations allowed on this data type, right? Now let us come to the next topic and the very last topic of today's session, that how you can scan the values in Python, right? So there are two different versions which are available in market, as I've already told you, Python 2.x and Python 3.x, right? If you are using Python 2.x, the function is very much different. If you are using Python 3.x, the function is different, right? Right now we are using Python 3.x, so I'll be starting with the syntax of Python 3.x. Then later on we can move to the syntax of Python 2.x, right? So let us say I'm saying that num1 is equal to, I want to take value from the user now. I don't want to assign any static value, right? So the function is called as input, right? And within the input function, you can specify this argument, enter the value for num1, right? Let me end this, let me end the quote, and let me end the bracket. Don't forget to end the quotes, don't forget to end the bracket, right? When I do this, it is asking me that enter the value for num1. So let us say I'm entering 10, right? Now I want to check whether the num1 is 10 or not. So yes, num1 is 10, absolutely fine. Let me go to num2, right? Again, I am saying input, enter the value for num2, right? And the quote and the bracket. Oh, I have written brackets twice. So num2 is equal to, again, input, enter the value for num2 and the quotes and the bracket. Yes, right? And when I say let me enter 20, right? Let me check the value of num2. It's 20. Great. So we are able to scan the value from the user, right? User can enter the value. Now let us say I want to say num1 plus num2. It should be 30, isn't it? But the answer which I am getting is 1020. So the reason behind is input function in Python by default returns a string. So if you can see these two parts, they are enclosed in quotes. So 10 is also string and 20 is also string. And when you say num1 plus num2, it is concatenation of two different string. So that's why it is giving you 10, 20, not 30, right? So what you have to do, you have to convert the values into integer representation, right? So there is two different ways to do so. One way I'm showing you like this. So num1 is equal to, you can use integer typecasting function. So int is typecasting function, right? Integer into the bracket, again I'm saying num1, or let me make it num1 new, right? So num1 new equals to integer into the bracket num1, right? When I do this, when I press enter, right, if you can check, it is working fine. I can print this num1 underscore new. It is 10. There are no quotes now. I want to make sure that it is integer, so I can say num1 underscore new again. Type into the bracket num1 underscore new and the bracket. And now you can see it is class integer. But if you check the type of num1, right, it's very much clear that class is string. Understand this is the difference, right? So let us say I don't want to typecast this num1 later on once a user enters the value. Once the user enters the value, it should be directly converted to the integer value. So you can do it like this, num2 underscore new is equal to, you can apply this typecasting function like this also. Integer into the bracket, input into the bracket, enter the value for num2 and the quotes and the bracket twice, because one is for integer typecasting function and another one is for input function, right? Now if you enter, let us say 20, right, check the type of num2, that is num2 underscore new, right, and class is integer. Now you can do it like this, num1 underscore new plus num2 underscore new, right? Press enter, answer is 30. Very simple, right? Now you can run different operations also, right? You can run different operations like this. Oh, I've tried lots and lots of things. So there's lots of things in my history. Yeah. So instead of this plus, you can move to star. Very simple, right? And answer is 10 into 20 is 200. right? So this is the basic way you can, take input from the user. Now let us, I want to print the value in script mode. What you will do? So print into the bracket num1 underscore new and end the bracket. That's all. Answer is 10, right? So this is how you can start with your programming, right? It's very simple. You can do it at your home, right? If you find any issue, right, you can contact me, Neil. You can contact Neil. He will be sharing my number to you. Okay, you can mail me at rutvik.mehta@paruluniversity.ac.in. This is my mail ID, right? If you find any issue regarding installation, if you find any issue regarding, uh, getting the output on the screen, anything, right? Just uh, mail me on this particular email ID, paruluniversity.ac.in. Yeah, great. Okay, you can mail me your queries on this email ID. One last concept that I would be discussing with you is choosing proper variable names. Why I want to discuss this with you is, if you can see, I've started with first variable equals to a is equal to something, and then later on I have always written num1, num2, right? This is very much important while you are programming, because when you will be making larger programs and when you will be working in a team, choosing proper programming names are very much important. If you don't choose a proper programming name, people won't understand. Say for example, I'm making a program, right, and I'm using variable names like this. Right. If you type your programs like this, what does it mean, right? It doesn't mean anything. How you can interpret that, what this variable represents? Or let me say it simply. Let us say A is equal to 10, B is equal to 40. What A and B represents? I don't know, right? But if I can say that this is my pay per hour, right? And which is equals to 10, right? And this is my total hours for which I have worked, right? Total hours of work, which is equals to 40, right? So now you can say this list two variable represents a meaning, right? This is my pay per hour and this is total hours per total hours of work. When I multiply it 14 into 10, this will give my payments in dollars. Let us say 14 into $10, that is $400 per week, right? So this can be one example that how you can choose proper names when you are working with programs, larger programs. Make sure that you choose proper names for class, variables, and functions you use, right? This will make your programming life very easy, right? Now we are open to questions. So Neil, if you have a question answer session, if you're ready for question answer session, we can start. Neil? Neil, are you there? Neil?
Yeah, sir. I'm
Yeah,
there.
so we can have question answer session now.
Okay, I'm taking questions from the users. क्या है वापस वो? So there is a question
Yes.
to represent the notepad because there is a screen issue.
So I have to show my notepad
In between
again.
there is a screen issue.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll do that. Yeah. So I have opened Notepad++ and I have written this code. If you can see that, right? It's very simple code. Print hello, or you can write it like this: num1 is equal to 10, and num2 is equal to 20, and then you can say print into the bracket num1 plus num2. Very simple, right? Don't forget these brackets, right? Okay, one more thing I have forgot to tell you is when you use Python 2.x, there is no such brackets over here. So you can write it like this also. This is for Python 2.x. Understand this. For Python 3.x, this is very much compulsory, print into the bracket num1 plus num2. Understand this, right? And one more thing I would like to tell you is in Python 2.x, the input function, or from the function which is used for taking input from user, is raw underscore input. So let us say you can do it like this in Python 2.x, that is raw underscore input, and enter the value for number one. right? But in Python 3.x, it's just input, right? There is a different meaning of input in Python 2.x. So we are not getting into this details right now, but be rest assured that you are using latest version, then it is Python 3.x, and you can run the code like this, right? So let us save this file. This is already sample.py file, and which I have stored in on my desktop, right? I'm going to command prompt, right? I have navigated to, if you can see, I have navigated to, Comscolar folder where my file is present. I can execute dir command. So if you can see, there are two files, example.py and sample.py. I'm interested in running sample.py. So I can type this command Python, and then just you can say sample.py. That's all. And if you can see, it is printing hello, it is printing summation of two numbers, that is 10 plus 20. And it is asking me for input also, enter the value of num1. So let me say I'm entering 10, and programming is ending because I'm not printing value of num1 again, right? So this is how you can work with Notepad. Yes.
So next question is any reference book we can get on Python?
Okay. I'll be suggesting few of the video lectures and few of the reference books as well. If you want to, if you are very beginner, if you are new to Python, I'll suggest a book called as Python for Informatics. You can type on the internet Python for Informatics. It is available in the PDF format. Author name is Dr. Charles Severin, right? People know him as Dr. Chuck also. So if you type Dr. Chuck, you will get the output, right? He is very famous for Python, right? And there is a video series of Dr. Chuck also on the YouTube, right? So you can look for it. And video series is great, right? And you can go through the videos, all the videos of Dr. Chuck, right? You will get lots of help from that video series. And if you want to have certification course, you can go to Coursera, and you can look for a course called as Python for Everybody, and it is the course is run by Dr. Chuck again, right? Another book is let me say, Amit, can you hear me?
Hello.
Amit,
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
Amit,
Am I
can you hear
audible?
me?
Sir.
Yeah,
Sir,
yeah,
there
yeah.
is another one last
Okay.
question, that why we can't use I as a variable name?
I as a variable name. See, you can use I as a variable name. Don't get confused with variable name. I'll again share my screen one more time. Let me move to the ideally. So you are getting confused with the variable name. This is I, right? And I'm setting a value 10 to I, and I is absolutely working fine, right? I have created a number or specific type of data that is known as complex number, where I is not allowed or any other letter is not allowed. So let me say 3 plus 2j. This will work fine. But when I say num2, and if I say 2 plus 3i, say for example, pi, right? This won't work. Or num3, let us say 3 plus 2a, let us say any other character. This is also not allowed, because this is a Python way to represent complex numbers. You can use only j, right? So if you use any other letter, it's not allowed. Yes, Amit, any other question?
Sir, actually, I asked a wrong question for variable.
Yeah.
It's why I is not used as imaginary value in Python.
Yeah, that's what I've explained only.
Oh,
You cannot use I as an imaginary value in complex number, because it is a Python way to represent complex number. You can use only j, right? So I've showed many letters, like I have tried with I and I've tried with a. It won't work. It allows only j. Okay.
okay, sir.
Yeah.
One more question.
Yes, Amit.
What is what is tickenter in Python?
Tkinter in Python. So Let me very specific with tkinter. Tkinter is a GUI library in Python with which you can create different GUIs, right? Multi-widget GUIs. I'll be specific. There are lots and lots of options available in tkinter. Like you can create frame, you can create labor frame, you can have an entry field, you can have a scroll bar or scale, or there are many options, and you can have events as well, right? So you can have on-click events or on key press events. There are lots of options available in tkinter, and it is very specifically used for GUI, and it is inbuilt to Python. There are many more libraries which can create GUIs in Python, but tkinter is inbuilt to Python. But nowadays people use PyQt or you can say Kiwi compared to tkinter, and they are external libraries.
Okay, so fine. No more questions. Yeah.
Okay, great, Amit. Okay, if you have any other doubt, you can post me your questions on rutvik.mehta@paruluniversity.ac.in.
Thanks to
Okay, thank you
Rutik
so
sir
much.
for the thanks to Rutik sir for the great session. I hope you all enjoyed the first session of the course. Sorry for the inconveniences because of the technical issue. We are working on that. And tomorrow you will learn about conditional statement. Every details will given by Rutik sir or Harshal sir, Dr. Harshal sir. At the same
Okay,
time,
great.
you will get all the links on your mail. So thank you for joining us. And if you like, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.